Acer's Nitro 5, MSI GF63 Thin, and the Ideapad Gaming 3 laptops are top names in the budget segment of gaming laptops which offer great performance with affordability. Since these three devices are equally good on their own aspects, it becomes highly difficult to choose the best one out of these three laptops that is most suitable to fulfill your specific requirements. So, in this video, we will compare the best configured variants of these three laptops which fall under the similar price category and find the best one among these three devices. So, starting up with the display comparison, all the three laptops equip the standard 15.6-inch display with full HD resolution and 45% NTSC color coverage. The Nitro 5 here offers a color reproduction of 57% sRGB with 280 nits average brightness and 144 Hz refresh rate screen. Whereas, the Ideapad Gaming 3 brings in a color reproduction of 53% sRGB with an average brightness of 250 nits and 120 Hz refresh rate screen. While the MSI GF63 Thin comes with 55% sRGB color coverage, which brings a dimmer screen with lower 200 nits average brightness levels and comes with a 144 Hz refresh rate display. So, on comparing the three displays, the Nitro 5 with a little higher color reproduction and brightness levels takes in the first position, whereas the Ideapad Gaming 3 with a bit lower color reproduction and refresh rates takes the least preferred position in terms of the display comparison. Next, moving on to the memory and storage info, all the three laptops equips 8GB DDR4 RAM memory, which is upgradable up to 32GB, along with 512GB SSD type storage capacity, leaving no major advantage for either of these devices in terms of the memory and storage availability. Next, talking about the CPU performance, the Nitro 5 here comes with the Intel i5-11400H processor with 6 cores and 12 threads, which brings up a base clock speed of 2.7 GHz and up to 4.5 GHz boost clock speed, which is based on 10 nanometer fabrication with 35-watt TDP limit. The processor scored 18 points based on our tests on different benchmarking platforms. The Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3 on the other hand, equips the AMD Ryzen 5 5600H processor, which is an hexa-core chip, with a base clock speed of 3.3 GHz and up to 4.2 GHz boost clock speed, which is based on 7 nanometer fabrication and comes with a 45-watt TDP. This processor scores 16 overall points based on our CPU benchmark tests. While the MSI GF63 Thin mentioned houses the Intel i5-10500H processor, which is an hexa-core chip, with a base clock speed of 2.5 GHz and up to 4.5 GHz boost clock speed, which is based on the older 14 nanometer fabrication process and records a 45-watt TDP limit. This chip scored 13 points as its overall score in our benchmark test with similar conditions. So, on comparing the CPU performance of these three laptops, the 5600H chip in the Ideapad Gaming 3 offers up to 5 to 10% boost in multi-core performance when compared to the Nitro 5 and brings in up to 35% better performance when compared to GF63 Thin. In terms of single-core gaming performance, Intel's 11400H processor in the Nitro 5 brings in around 25% better single-core performance compared to the 10500H processor in the MSI GF63 Thin and up to 15% boost in performance when compared to the Ryzen 5 5600H chip in the Ideapad Gaming 3. So eventually, the Intel i5-11400H chip in the Nitro 5 seems to be the best performing processor overall, and the least performing one is the Intel's 10500H processor equipped in the GF63 Thin laptop. Next, moving on to the GPU performance, both the Ideapad 3 and Acer Nitro 5 houses the same GTX 1650 graphics card with 4GB graphics memory. The FPS results of this GPU was tested with different games at different 1080p settings, based on which the GTX 1650 managed to produce 50 FPS on average. Whereas the MSI GF63 Thin comes equipped with the newer RTX 3050 GPU, which managed to bring 64 FPS on average, based on tests conducted on similar games in 1080p conditions. So on comparison, the RTX 3050 in the MSI GF63 is 15% better compared to the GTX 1650 equipped in Nitro 5 and Ideapad Gaming 3 laptop. Next, talking about the battery, the Nitro 5 here comes with 57.5 watt-hour battery, which offers 4 to 6 hours of regular usage for tasks like web browsing or video playback and around 1.5 hour of gaming. While the MSI GF63 is packed with a 51 watt-hour battery, which offers up to 4 to 5 hours of battery life for normal usage and up to 1.5 hour of gaming. The Ideapad 3 on the other hand comes with 45 watt-hour battery, which offers around 4 hours of battery backup on normal use and up to 1 hour of gaming. So, the Nitro 5 takes the lead here in terms of the battery life, whereas the Ideapad takes the last position, offering the lowest battery backup. Next, speaking of thermals, the Nitro Phi with a dual fan cooling system reaches a maximum CPU temperature of 90 degrees centigrade, and the GPU temperatures reach up to 75 degrees under peak performance. Whereas the MSI GF63 comes with a single fan cooling system, where the CPU and GPU temperatures reaches up to 85 degrees centigrade, and due to the single fan module, the system is optimized to reduce CPU clock speed when the temperatures hit above the optimal threshold in order to avoid overheating or thermal throttling issues. The thermal system in the Ideapad 3 records a maximum CPU temperature of 88 degrees centigrade, and the GPU temperature stays near 70 degrees under peak gaming performance. So, all the three laptops are capable of providing good thermal management with no major issues like thermal throttling or overheating. But, in terms of the comparison results, the Ideapad 3 laptop seems to offer the best thermal management compared to the other two devices. Next, in order to find the best laptop out of this three in terms of build and design, we have ranked all the three devices based on different aspects of laptop construction, based on which the MSI GF63 Thin provides the best build with higher stability, whereas the Nitro Phi is pushed to the third position due to minor quality compromises in the build and design of the device. So overall, based on our comparison, all the three devices seem to be equally good on their own aspects, but the Nitro Phi seems to tick the majority of the check boxes in terms of the laptop comparison, which offers great power and efficiency with the latest Intel CPU, a little higher battery life, and other aspects like good display experience. Whereas the second position could be decided in terms of the user's preferences, where a user opting for a better gaming performance could go with the GF63 Thin, and users who require a good laptop to carry out their productive workloads can go with the Ideapad 3 as their second choice over the Nitro Phi mentioned. Thank you. Please do check the buying links for the laptops in the description, and if you ended up liking the video, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe the channel.